Hello everyone, we'll start now. Welcome and thanks for coming. Before I begin, just some housekeeping. So there'll be filming and some photos being taken today, so if you're not comfortable being filmed at all or taking photos, I'll just let one of the photographers or camera crew know. Also, if you need anything throughout the day, you can flag down a FACT member of staff or speak to anyone with a yellow lanyard, which is from VEC. The fire stuff, so there's no fire tests planned today, so, but if there is, the fire exits are indicated by the green lights. I am Digital Project Manager at the Virtual Engineering Centre, which is one of the organisers of the event. Partnered with FACT and Creative Liverpool today for this event, and supported through our LCR Holistic Programme and ERDF funded programs essentially, so and Northern Powerhouse as a partner as well. The VEC have been working and supporting SMEs and supply chains for over 13 years, and you know, we're here today at FACT because we're better to host a digital arts sandpit than here. But this event is not just for artists and creatives, but it's also for a host of stakeholders who have a connection to the arts. We have around 20 connected organisations involved today. The activities today are all driven through the LCR Holistic Project, which my colleague Georg will talk about in a bit more detail. And essentially that project is a fantastic project which has helped to support the running of your business, how you engage with audiences, and how you can make the most of digital tools. Many organisations here today would not have crossed paths before, so take advantage of that today. Learn more about the technology, network, and explore ways that you could collaborate on interesting projects in the future. We have a physical audience, and we also have a virtual audience today. So we have, this is kind of one of a kind for the first in the creative arts scene. We're currently being beamed into the metaverse. What the heck does that mean, you might ask? Well, we currently have a virtual version of this event right now, hosted on the cloud, where people are joining with their avatars and sitting down watching me talk right now in a virtual environment. You'll have a chance to explore that environment later on, so by all means download the app. I'll give information at the end if you wanted to have a look at that. So welcome to all of you in the metaverse. So speaking to the people in the metaverse now, you have quests to complete, you have digital representations of the main demonstrations rooms that are here at the physical world today, and you'll be able to walk around those. You can walk and visit those areas related to the event today, so take advantage of that and also communicate with those in the physical world too. The agenda for today. I'll tell you the agenda in a second. Does next work?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So, right now we are doing introduction and presentations. Obviously, that will run until about 11:15. We have obviously got in here a little bit later on than 10, so we might run over slightly. However, we have a lot of interesting speakers and talks to present to you today. So, yeah, it should be a really good morning that we've got to try and cram in a lot between now and 11:30. So stay tuned to that. After that, then you guys will be able to wander around the rest of the building, explore FACT's amazing facilities, and also we have two demonstration spaces set up today. So we have Gallery 2, which is looking at creative innovation, as my colleague again will come on to in a second. And we also have a box room with many SMEs in there, showing lots of the recent project work that we've been doing. After that, we'll have lunch at around 12:30, so that's a complimentary lunch, so make your way downstairs for that. And then we have a conversation cafe, so bite to eat and talking and engaging with the demonstrations. So without further ado, I will pass you on to my colleague Georg, who will run the next segment. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I can just use these.
Yeah, all right.
Brilliant. I've got my notes on my laptop, so I just wanted to give you some facts about the ERDF project. So as Matt said, this is funded by the European Union in Northern Powerhouse. It's a project that is called LCR4.0 Holistic, and it's about supply chains, connecting businesses. And you're all from businesses where supply chains probably ring alarm bells. I think that is unreasonable in a way, or is uncalled for. Supply chains in the widest sense means connecting businesses. And one of the things that really struck me, you can hear that I'm a wool. I'm not from Liverpool, obviously, not even near it. One thing that really defines Liverpool for me is culture. You come here and creative arts and galleries and museums, you know, the Blue Coat, the Tate, the Walker Gallery, all the different theatres, all the venues around culture are what defines the city. And I remember sort of when Liverpool won the City of Culture, that was a big thing. And it still is, I think. So I think culture is a big thing. And culture relies on lots of stakeholders, lots of people being connected. And I think that works really well here. One of the things that struck me in organizing this event and dealing with lots of companies, we've got about 20 companies involved here, stakeholders involved, is that the keenness to cooperate and to share ideas. And I think by being able to share ideas and technologies and so on, you can actually build things that are unique to this particular Liverpool city region. It's not sort of something you do because you have nothing better to do. For the city, I think culture, creative arts is critically important, not just for the people who live here, for all the students who live here and come here to Liverpool because it is a cool place to be, but also for the economy. The visitor economy is the second largest component economy-wise for the city region. About 62 million visitors, generating 43 billion and supporting 24,000 jobs in the city region. So it's a huge contributor. It's a visitor economy. And I think these visitors are not here because there are nice hotels here, but because there's stuff to see and to do and to enjoy and to take part on. And I think the cultural offering that the city has is a major draw. I have to admit football might play part of that as well, but culture does matter. So the creative arts sector in itself contributes about 32 million to the city region. So a big chunk of money that goes into it, and also supports around about 1,000 jobs, and quite a few jobs are sort of represented here one way or another. The aim of this holistic program is to make jobs more secure, give stakeholders in the city region an edge maybe, making them more resilient to recover from COVID, which still has sort of residual leftover effects, and maybe make the enjoyment of arts, of culture, of creativity, something that is more accessible to other people. So let me find that button. We've got lots of demonstrations downstairs. These are proof of concepts mostly. These are ideas. These are technologies that they're not finished, not by a long margin, I think, but these are technologies that can be developed further. And I think if they can be shared across different stakeholders, they can be shared very, very effectively. We have in blue at the top, creative innovation here. How can we use digital technologies to create art in the wider sense? Visual art, music, dance, whatever you want. We can look at audience enhancements. How can we make the spaces that we have, the work that we create, more accessible to an audience? People that have mobility issues, people that are maybe neurodiverse, how can we make them, or can we create a more inclusive environment and allow people to join us in these sort of artistic events and so on than we can do at the moment with purely physical spaces. In green, operations management, slightly more prosaic, but really, really important. If you're running a venue like FACT or like the Everyman Theatre and so on, or like the Blue Coat Gallery, then being able to manage your venue effectively is critically important. And then finally, business opportunities. I'll show you some, or I'll mention some pieces of work that we've done around using, for example, blockchain and NFTs to create business opportunities for stakeholders. So I'll just very quickly run through these. I will mention some companies that we have mentioned. If I don't mention you, it could be because you're doing a talk. We've got some specific talks later on. If I don't mention you, it's not ill will. I may just have forgotten you. So, creative innovation. That's quite a few of the exhibitions of the demonstrations we have are around creative innovation. And you've seen I think sort of one of the major things that Matt has already mentioned it. One of the ways in which we are going creatively, not we are going, but people who are creative are going, is virtual worlds, being able to present, create artistic or express themselves artistically in VR and AR and XR. We have one group showing off, the Amaze Artist Collective showing off a piece of work that is using virtual reality, and then Matt has mentioned it. Here at FACT, we are trying to merge this metaverse, this virtual world, with the physical world. I think that's really important because, I mean, enjoyment of creative arts is all about the communal experience. It's about being in a space with other people and it's about shared experience. Looking at the Wired Area Theatre there, you'll see how new technologies can be used to capture performance and then again make it accessible to users both in the physical world but of course in other worlds. Looking at old art, the Garstang Museum here capturing 3D objects, recreating old characters. Mary Seacole, you see in the picture in the middle here, telling stories and then clicking or selecting historical video footage. This is Cinema Nation on the far left for you, linking cinema footage with geospatial information, linking historical data into space. So lots of new ideas on how to create creative experiences. Here creative experiences are in the sort of front line, but of course inclusivity, accessibility are key requirements, I think. Being able to, for example, on the leftmost picture, this is meant to represent Sound City, capturing live performances in 360 3D video, making it available to audiences, telling stories, animating characters from the past. This is Murphy's Gin, telling a story about the history of the product. Chataway looking at an app that does live translation or language teaching for users. The same app, of course, could be used in museums and art galleries to present information, both multi-language but also in different formats, for example, for different ages, different user groups and so on. And then finally, we have more inclusivity. We have an Internet of Things application. You can see this tiny little stage there. It's not a device to make stages accessible for tiny little people. It's basically looking at using the lighting signals that are communicated in theaters to synchronize subtitles and narratives for audiences that are either hard of hearing or can't see, to spoken descriptions. All of these demos are downstairs for you to look at later on. Operations management, that's a really cool demo, which I think of the Blue Coat Gallery, top left and on the right, where we've scanned the building and we put sensors into the building. That means you now have a digital twin, a digital model of this gallery, and you can use this model both for making work in the gallery accessible, for example, the spaces where artists work behind the scenes, but also sensor information you can link to the space. You can see what goes on in the building, who is there, how much energy you use. Accessibility, dealing with props. This is the project with the Everyman Theatre, basically building an app where we can scan props and make it possible to effectively share them and keeping track of assets that the theatres in this case have to send. Of course, could be used for museums and other things. And then finally, the white space at the bottom here. This is a space in Lipa, and this is a collaboration between an architectural practice and an acoustic engineer. And the idea is to model this space, not just what it looks like, but what it sounds like after modification to the speech. And the explicit aim of this is to explore a space before it is modified and then allow neurodiverse individuals to see the space and see what it looks like and feels like. And then maybe influence the design. So not just building monitoring, but also in the design of buildings. And finally, the fourth bit of work is around business opportunity. It's about creating art, connecting people, connecting venues, melodic destruction, for example, using RFID tags to link users to venues and then allowing them to explore other venues that are relevant. Y Entertainment and St. George's Hall using NFTs, so non-fungible, well, I can't even say it, non-fungible tokens, it's so complicated, ways of keeping track of creating unique values, unique tokens that represent art and so on that people can use. And then finally, so applications like, for example, mindfulness applications, and then again, spatial mapping, very, very important, I think, from a planning perspective, looking at things like, for example, the positions of buildings that are important for heritage in the city center, and then cross-correlating that with socio-demographic factors, for example. So data mining, accessible data is very, very important. So lots of demonstrations. They are proofs of concept, they are ideas. Some of them are sort of rough and ready, others are more ready. The idea is to show off what is possible and maybe to give you ideas of where this technology can lead, how it can be used. We've got a whole broad range of different stakeholders here, anything from flying theaters to businesses, to galleries, to museums, to art venues. Think about how you could maybe use these venues. To me, one of the exciting things about this meeting and this project is that many of these technologies can be used by a whole range of different stakeholders. And I think that if it, for example, came, in creative arts, applying for funding is something you do all day, I imagine. If you say we want to have a city-wide app that gives us storytelling for galleries and theaters and so on, suddenly you have something that is a viable proposition, I think. So think about sort of how we can take this further, how we can make these collaborations sustainable. That is me. Shall I introduce Sean next? Or do you want to introduce yourself? Thank you very much.
Morning, everyone. Can you hear me at the back? Hope you can. I'm looking at this screen thinking, how do I work this? This is not a good start, is it? Okay, those buttons, okay.
The clicker out of battery, I think.
Oh, the clicker's out of battery, okay. Okay, good, right. Well, first I'd like to say thank you all for coming this morning and making it through the rail strikes and the teachers' strikes and everything that's coming on. It's great to see so many of you, and it's the first time we've been in the metaverse as well, so that's a really interesting experience. Who knew it felt like this? On the subject of transport as well, I would like to just say that it was really difficult to get here on an e-scooter this morning. So, but that's me from Warrington. Okay. So just to introduce myself, I'm Sean Durney. I work for Culture Liverpool, which is a business department of the business unit of the City Council. We're the ones who do all the big cultural events, and we do grant funding of cultural organisations, one of whom is FACT. So we're next year we'll be funding 28 organisations. All the work that Culture Liverpool does is around promoting culture for the city. You may have heard that Eurovision is coming to the city. Culture Liverpool's really involved with that. The clock is ticking on that, but that is an absolutely massive thing for the city. What we also try to do is make sure that there's a legacy of those events and that Liverpool develops its reputation as the UK's most exciting city. So that's one of the things I do. I work for the City Council part-time these days. The other thing that I'm doing is working, I'm doing a PhD at the University of Liverpool with the Zero Carbon Research Initiative. the subject of my PhD is the carbon impact of the cultural sector. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and that's sort of the meetings that I've had with the VEC, which were only 2 months ago, that have led to today, have led me to some thoughts on what we can do to help decarbonise culture and the creative arts. So just to sort of, I'm not going to read through all of this, but obviously culture uses a lot of carbon. Carbon dioxide is the main source of greenhouse gases that is causing climate change. The ways in which creative arts and culture generate carbon are listed in front of you. Energy consumption from gas and electricity, transportation, which includes things like audience and staff travel to and from events, materials and waste, all those kind of things that get used. Also, construction of sets, buildings, all those kind of things, the use of paper, plastic materials, all use carbon and result in emissions. So studies have shown that it accounts between 1% and 4%. Might not seem like a massive amount. I suspect it's probably more because of the amount of travel. But part of what I'm trying to do with my PhD is to look at audience travel and how significant that is in terms of carbon emissions. But there are lots of initiatives underway, and I think one of the things that I wanted to talk to the VEC and to cultural organisations is the use of technology to reduce carbon emissions. So this can include things like energy efficiency measures, sustainable transport, which is ironic on the day when there's a rail strike, sustainable materials and waste management, sustainable venue design and construction. So just to sort of run through that, the issues that I've identified so far with my research are really around data collection. It's really difficult to collect the data. I think it's really difficult for organisations to collect the data. It's been really difficult for me to collect the data from the organisation. So anybody who wants to come and talk to me during the day about their carbon emissions, I'm able to set a benchmark for you through a short survey that I've done, or I can come and talk to you and run you through those surveys. So I'm really willing to do that because I need more input into the research. But what I've got so far shows that data collection is an issue for the organisations. Very often it's difficult for them to actually know how to do those things. Ownership of the data is also a problem. So if an organisation is in somebody else's space, they may not have access to things like gas and electricity bills. They don't have ownership of the data around travel, which again is something that could be resolved with a technological innovation. Capacity, again, it takes a lot of time to do all this data collection and to manually manipulate it. Skills and knowledge, reporting it, improving efficiency, having control over the heat and temperature and the lighting in your buildings. And in the end, it's about saving money. All the organisations have come back to me and said that they want to save money. They'd like to see automation, and they'd like to see easy-to-use tools. So all the ticks on the other side are the things that I think technology could help with. I don't think it's the answer to everything, but I think it would get us a good percentage along the way, and I think things will change a lot over the next few years, just in terms of the requirement to do carbon monitoring and to reach net zero. The City Council's set an ambition to reach net zero by 2030, which is very ambitious, but you can be sure that there will be more measures put into place for funded organisations in terms of licensing conditions, in terms of taxation that will involve carbon. So it's something that is going to come to us all. I think technology can make that kind of transition to that net zero economy a lot easier. So I'm going to finish there with my, just with my details. If you want to find out anything about Culture Liverpool, go to cultureliverpool.co.uk. There's my email address there as well, both at the City Council, but also for the research. But do come and catch up with me today, or send me an email if you're interested in what I'm doing. I'll be delighted to help. I've got one more confession to make before we go. I didn't write most of this presentation. Just to prove a point, IGP Chatbot wrote those 2 slides, which have got the most information on them. It's just a real signal of how amazing things, the things that you're going to see today are amazing, but what's out there is amazing. And, you know, we need to be part of designing the future and not to be afraid of this, because it's just so powerful. So I was just really surprised at how well this kind of AI thing works, and I think it's just a case in point. So that's my confession for the day. Matt wrote the rest of the presentation, so I've done very little. So thank you very much, and have a great day.
Hi everyone, good morning. Thank you all for being here. My name is Maitri Maheshwari. I'm the head of program at FACT. I'm going to be talking, and then I'm going to hand over the reins to the droopy microphone and my colleague Leslie Taker. But for those of you who don't know FACT very well, we are one of the UK's leading centres for art, film and creative technology. We champion new ideas and experiences and nurture the next generation of voices and visionaries to create a world of possibilities. I'm going to play a video so you can see. Do I need to do anything? I suspect many people in this room have probably watched that before. The main thing for me about that video is just shows the kind of full breadth of the type of work that FACT has pioneered for 20 years in this building and much longer beforehand. And I think the kind of key thing in terms of our program, it works across exhibitions, learning and residencies, and public events to really not only showcase artists and curators and other practitioners working at the cutting edge of art and technology, but also looking at what the social impacts of that work might be. Our exhibitions are designed and sort of thought through as commissions where we produce and present major new works with artists, supporting them from the development of their idea through to the finishing of it in terms of sort of major immersive installations which help to unpack stories and tell different, bring new voices into our kind of public consciousness. Through our learning programs, we build participatory collaborations between artists and groups of individuals, young people, intergenerational groups, people in and working with the criminal justice system, that culminate in artworks for presentation in our exhibitions programs and also lead to resources and other outputs that we then take back out into the community to share and build that knowledge and share that knowledge with others. And through our residencies, which are focused on the development of new and emerging talent, supporting emerging artists and curators to develop their practice, especially in their approaches to new and advanced technologies and the social impact of working in these spaces. Our work with VEC, which you will see downstairs, started from conversations about how we could develop a virtual space modelled on our gallery that could address a few recurring challenges that we experience. Particularly in regards to our residencies, the artists we work with often produce new work that would benefit from being shared publicly as a way to test it out, but which perhaps isn't fully developed enough for an exhibition, as you see downstairs on the ground floor. Could a virtual presentation space help create new ways of sharing experimental work in progress? In our work with young people, we're often exploring their own experiences of new technologies. How could we design a digital twin that would be easy enough for them to share content within and navigate as part of the process of working with artists? And during the pandemic, when much of our work was taking place online, we were able to offer geographically remote audiences a very different kind of program. Could a digital twin allow for us to build a more collaborative experience and relationship with audiences and practitioners to develop truly hybrid experiences? This image is up mostly because that's where our demonstration is happening downstairs. But the proof of concept that VEC have developed with us goes a long way towards addressing how a digital twin gallery might allow us to navigate between multiple works, both physically and virtually, within a virtual space, thinking about the metaverse as a space for art production and experience, and how remote viewers may nevertheless be able to have embodied experiences of those works. These capabilities will enhance the ways in which we work with artists, with participants, with audiences going forward, especially when we launch Studio Lab, which will support a creative community at FACT to develop their individual practices. I'm going to hand over to my colleague Leslie Taker to tell you more about Studio Lab, which is coming to a building near you soon.
Very near you. So this is me. Sorry, am I close enough to that? Great. So I'm Leslie Taker, and I will ask you to give me some feedback. So up top, I'm going to give you my email address. It's leslie.taker@fact.co.uk, because I'm starting a new project. And so as anyone who started a new project, I want to hear from lots of different perspectives, lots of different people, and a lot of people that are in the room. So as Maitri said when she was talking about the trailer, and that trailer gives me the heebies because it's basically the last 8 years of my life, making exhibitions, public programs, immersive experiences with the team in the galleries. And the next portion of my work at FACT is really thinking about actually how do we get there? How do artists get to that stage where they are showing, like Aurora that you saw with the lasers in Toxteth Reservoir that was at the end of that reel? How do they get to show in Gallery 1? How do they get to play with technology in a way that not only fetishizes the tech and gets excited about the kit, but in a way that thinks about more socio-political issues that are around technology and the unique position of digital culture and technical kit to allow us access into thinking about new perspectives, taking on role-playing different understandings of the world and taking on new identities, and kind of really acknowledging how it's accelerating the way we think of ourselves, how our identities are shifting and ever-changing in this new space, and to be able to equip ourselves as creative practitioners, as curators, as artists with a space and the methodologies to meet that head on. So I'll just tell you a little bit about what we're doing in Studio Lab. Studio Lab has basically been born out of a lot of consultation, a lot of learning, of our artist residence program growing and basically opening it out further. So the pandemic was a real sea change for us, but even before that, in 2018, 2019, the team were thinking a lot more about how we put the artist at the center of our program and our practice. And then with a new director in 2019, Nicola Triscott, and a new head of program, Maitri, in 2020, it was very easy to think through that premise of how actually does FACT change if we put the artist at the center, if we put the audience at the center. Instead of curating programs, then we go and find the people to bring inside. So basically, as our residency and talent development plans expanded, we recognised the need for a dedicated collaboration space which houses artists, researchers, curators, technologists, and would act as like a sandpit for their ideas. And it would really have the premise of what happens if you create space, room, time, resource for experimentation and collaboration, and what if FACT opens its doors up in that very specific way. It's like, how do you want to engage with digital culture? How do you want to bring criticality to this space? Let's play with it. And really giving ourselves permission to change the model, to fail, to try new things, and not think that we have to maximize an outcome from them, but having the development, the play, that side of the process be the thing that's important. So from May this year, we're going to redevelop our offices on the 3rd floor into this physical anchor for artistic practice at the heart of FACT. Throughout the summer, we'll test the space with participants from our programme, resident artists and a small cohort of members, leading to a public opening in October alongside our 20th anniversary celebrations. Oh, yeah, I'm just like, this is me for the whole thing. This is the space. Thanks, Maitri. I can only do 2 things at once. With an artist-centred approach, we'll work with those from all creative backgrounds. So we don't want to just work with digital experts. We want to work with multi-form practitioners. So whether that's dancers, drag artists, printmakers, theatre practitioners, we want to help you consider the social and political impacts of new technologies, both in your works and upon others. We want to support those who imagine ways technology can better serve the stories, perspectives and needs which are so often overlooked or misrepresented in both digital culture and visual arts. So this space will be really about forming a community, and that's a really big part of that kind of play space and permission to fail that I was talking about before. It isn't going to be a rarefied space that's just for a few people who really want to use it to accelerate their practice. It's about creating that room to experiment. So this is really where our commitment to talent development can grow. And having this flexible space opens us up to more opportunities, not just to support individuals, but also to support smaller organisations and to work together, and also to take part in creative programmes which focus on knowledge sharing and upskilling. So we're going to open FACT Lab really with like a series of workshops and almost like a syllabus, and thinking about what that does for artists and what kind of skills artists need to be able to flex their practice in gallery spaces, outside of gallery spaces, in theatre spaces, dance spaces, and also the tools they may not even have thought about. And so our premise is not to have a very shiny, sexy lab space with like the best tech that we keep renewing constantly. Our premise is to have accessible technology that is open source, or is like the entry-level version, up to the medium-level version that maybe artists can't afford but know that they really want to play with, to see if they actually want to use it, to see if their practice benefits from having that tool, to having that product in their tool belt, essentially, rather than them just spending a lot of money on a piece of software they never ever want to use again. And then the idea is that once they've had this space with us where they're like really experimenting and playing around with different tech, being exposed to different things, maybe even experimenting with the ways they exhibit their work in a gallery space, we also have this massive network, and a lot of the people in the room are part of that network that have your own specialisms. You have your own access to resources, to technology, to kit that would be impossible for FACT to even maintain because it moves so quickly. And then we can put these people in touch with you, because everyone I know who owns these lab spaces in HEIs or like a creative industry, all they want is to get new perspectives. They want people to come in and break it. They want to find new ways of using it. I've got the people, you guys have got the stuff. So like that's what's really interesting to us, is how we create that like back and forth dialogue between our key desire as a non-profit, very public serving space, and your key desires to like push where that technology can go. So that's us, that's Studio Lab, and I will pass on to the next speaker, or is that it? Sorry, Matthew. Thank you.
Yeah, so next up we have a very special guest. So the VEC were made aware a while ago of CNC Robotics and a resident artist that they have at their space. And CNC Robotics is a manufacturing company, and the VEC have a very strong manufacturing background, aerospace background as well. So that's kind of our where we come from. So what we found fascinating was how this combination of art and manufacturing could happen. And the piece that Liz will present is really it really captivates how you can work with other businesses and sectors across the supply chain, and not just within the creative arts. So a slightly different spin, but it kind of comes back to LCR Holistic and how we're trying to create a more collaborative and dynamic supply chain, bringing in businesses who wouldn't usually work or be involved with artists and creative art. So without further ado, I'll let Liz join us up here.
Hi. My name's Liz Wilson, and I was an artist who was commissioned by the National Festival of Making back in 2020 for their art and manufacturing programme. So they are currently working with the Virtual Engineering Centre as part of the Liverpool City Region Holistic Project. And here you can see me in CNC Robotics during my residency. So, like I say, the Art and Manufacturing is the National Festival of Making commissioning programme, and the initiative was developed in parallel to the festival and became the unique proposition of engaging the manufacturing sector with art and industry to collaborate with workforces and provide new spaces for artists to make work. So in 2019, I was awarded the first ever digital art commission for the National Festival of Making, working with manufacturer Spiroflow, who are based in Clitheroe. So this acted as a catalyst for further Arts Council funding to work with CNC Robotics as an artist in residence. So this piece is called The Optical Mechanical. So this extraordinary experience provided me with the space and time to create a new body of work in conjunction with manufacturing communities through learning new technologies, making practices, and the development of new skills in the production of work. So this partnership was extended over 2 years due to COVID, with the factory remaining committed to supporting the development of my practice, whilst we both navigated the challenges of making work in a pandemic. So through newly acquired digital skills and the use of robotics to make new work, I began working with sound, sculpture and video to sort of explore concepts of time, technology and motion. Okay. So while I was there, I was particularly fascinated by the proximity of, oh, hang on, let's give that one a play. Is that one not playing? I'll have to let's click on this one. That's all good. While I was there, I was particularly fascinated by the proximity of CNC Robotics in relationship to the Leeds-Liverpool Canal and how this incredible waterway was used for the transportation of coal, cotton and manufactured goods during the Industrial Revolution. So I was intrigued by the monumental mechanical artefacts situated along the banks of the canal and began resurrecting them as looped three-dimensional animations. So here you can see relics of steam hammers, lock gates, propellers and engines. So these were perched on an ascending series of stepped frames hung with semicircular discs. So forms inspired by engineering feats along the canal, such as the arched underpasses and the Bingley Five Rise locks. So accompanying the animations, there is a repetitive minimalist soundtrack incorporating the sound of the robot's movements with elongated notes of my voice, like a call and response. So here I wanted to create a harmonious interconnection between the two, a bit like a mechanical orchestra, which I'll show you later on within the documentation of the installation. So working with engineer Michele Palastri, we choreographed tool paths to generate sculptures resembling fossils and liberating these inanimate industrial artifacts and reanimating them. It was extraordinary watching the robot tracing repeatedly over the tool path, and it always felt really sort of performative in its nature. Alongside this, I created 4 large sculptural extrusions of horses' legs to reference the transition from horse-drawn barge to steam power to motor along the canal. Wrapped in silver car body wrap, the monoliths conveyed both the speed, strength, and acceleration, and are positioned prominently within the installation. So further compounding the sensation of travelling through time, a vast video screen projection of shimmering water is elongated by a mirror resembling a portal. Collectively, the work feels like you're on a voyage throughout time. Working with CNC robotics has pushed my practice in new directions and enabled me to establish new ways of thinking and working. I've incorporated digital skills into the production of new works and learnt new animation and sound techniques to create works which are more immersive and engaging. I've developed extraordinary working relationship with the automation engineers, electricians and designers to better understand the environments that they work in and how an artist can situate themselves within this process to gain insights into new ways of working. So these experiences have provided a platform for both myself and the employees at CNC Robotics to participate, question and engage with the development of new work, an experience which I believe is mutually beneficial. At the end of the residency, I exhibited a large-scale video installation in Tony's Ballroom, which is a Northern Soul dance hall situated in Blackburn. So this took place in the summer of 2022 at the National Festival of Making, an event which attracts over 40,000 visitors each year. So to finish, I will share a little bit of information about the work, and then I'll play a documentation of the video. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so again, they're an example of how local businesses in the Liverpool region are embracing new ideas and integrations with the creative arts sector, as Liz explained there on the art and manufacturing program. CNC Robotics, one of the many examples of businesses who have signed up to LCR Holistic, and currently they're exploring the use of multi-user design review environments on our digital innovation facility site just across the other side of campus. So now I'll introduce Josh and Izzy from Melodic Distraction, who are working with us on LCR Holistic, and will explain how they're using, as Georg mentioned earlier on, pads to essentially use RFID technology to support the tracking and collaboration of venues across the region. So yeah, Josh.
Hello.
Hello. Hey folks, we're from Melodic Distraction, and we're going to be talking about our latest digital tech project, Tap Into Your Local Scene. But before we do, we're going to give you a bit of an overview on Melodic Distraction.
Yeah, hi. So we run an independent internet radio station and expanding digital creative hub that aims to support, celebrate and shout about the sounds and stories of the Northwest creative scene to a global audience. We established in 2015 as an events organiser and magazine and opened our radio station in 2017. We now have over 270 radio hosts doing monthly shows on the station, as well as a fully fledged digital magazine and internal team of 11, striving to support Northwest creatives in many different ways, digitally and physically, by creating and connecting creatives to opportunities, both locally and globally.
We recently opened a creative community space which continues to support local emerging projects to try new ideas. It's kind of a physical manifestation of our digital project. We love Liverpool and the Northwest music and culture, and we want to shout about it. And we believe that by working together and celebrating each other, Liverpool's amazing independent community businesses can thrive. Our ethos is to support Northwest culture day in, day out. So now we're going to tell you about our latest project.
So alongside how we support the Northwest scene, our other biggest question is how do people find out about it? Aside from digital platforms such as us, social media, other magazines and ticket providers, how do people really know what's bubbling under the surface? And how do the creatives of our scene shout about what they're doing? Through our constant drive for collaboration with tons of projects across the Northwest, we discovered a common set of problems faced by contributors to the creative scene.
So firstly, we found that there are great resources around, but no complete universal listing system that represents the creative events as a creative event scene as a whole. We have tons of amazing ticketing platforms, but naturally people choose who they want to ticket with, which creates a digital fragmentation of how our scene is represented. Alongside that, social media is hugely saturated with limited budgets that local creatives have and ever-changing algorithms. How far does actual digital marketing go, and who sees it? So, and what about the physical world? How can we stay in touch, considering a lot of this, the scene's creative output is physical? And finally, consumer habits are changing so rapidly, especially in the post-COVID world, where a different generational audience is becoming the main focus each year. It's hard to understand what ticks their boxes.
To solve these problems, we've created a new multi-dimensional listing system, which lives digitally and physically across the city too, and invites collaboration from every ticketing platform instead of making our own. This system encourages interactivity and collaboration, providing real and useful insights to those who need them. And a system which works with every ticketing platform, not just on its own. This tool will help create cohesion across local creative scenes.
So, how is it formatted? Well, it's not usually different in this aspect to other listing platforms, apart from our main focus is the place and what is on there. Places have landing pages which detail everything about the organisation, including varying forms of content, including pictures, videos, articles, and even soon to be mixes and shows. All alongside this will be your events, featured sales and offers, as well as soon to be calendar reminders to be the first to know what's coming up. And finally, we're building algorithms that recommend other local events and businesses to help you discover things that align with your interests, a system that grows algorithmically with people's passing across the site. And that's the bit where things get interesting, because up until now, it's not hugely different to any other listing system until we bring it into the real world.
Yeah, so roll out our new RFID wireless pads, which if you're around after, please do come check them out and have a go. Got one with me now. So quite literally, you can tap with your phone into the local scene, taking a guide into every place across the Northwest. We believe that introducing this into every space can create a more useful guide system which informs you of all the things around you. But not just that, each pad is directly programmed to the space you're in. Tap Melodic Bar where we are and find out what's on there and next door. Not only do you get the info on that venue, but also the venues that relate to it. This cross-pollination approach to marketing, alongside pads that are programmed uniquely to the space they're in, will benefit audiences and places across our city and the city region on a cultural, economic and social level to harness Liverpool's open-mindedness to community and collaboration.
So, as we said, the pads use NFC technology, as simple as Apple Pay without us taking your money. It's quick, easy and familiar, and all smartphones will soon have these features. And in return for your insight, we get yours. The unique program system works on cookies to provide non-obtrusive data, which is mapped around behavior to help us and the people making the scene understand accumulated habits and behavior-based interests to help make creativity more informed. We worked with the VEC and the wonderful people there to create a data pipeline which helps understand a varying range of insights, like where do people go when they tap your pad? Do they leave on event links which suggest a successful event? What other pads in the city have people tapped on and then ended up at your place? And as a result, should we be working more closely with that place? And also, how many times does a user come back to my venue? All questions that this amazing data pipeline can answer in monthly or more regular reporting.
Yeah, as we said, getting feedback from your audience can be really tricky. And so we believe this pipeline can be the answer to getting better behavioural insights. Businesses can use this data to inform their event schedules, sales strategies, and marketing activities. But not only that, we can work with each space to form unique offers which encourage people to tap the pads and come back, which will improve your insights while giving them automated, interesting rewards just by tapping. By tapping the pad multiple times on different days, you could make a reward system for your customers, giving them a free drink or events ticket if they've been to your space 3 or 4 times. And once again, use the pipeline to see how it's working.
The data doesn't stop at places, but also provides insight into local authorities and the music board to help inform decisions and strategies. They can use the data to understand where best they can service demand, or even lobby for bus routes to ensure people get home safely from hotspots.
Yeah, and in the future, we hope to use this technology combined with beacons to help work with venues to make them a safer places. Visitors could be able to tap into a pad to discover a venue's safety policy, safeguarding strategy, and ask for help in a discreet way.
And that's it. To summarise, we've been working hard to build an online and physical hub for Liverpool's creative community for over 6 years, and this is a big piece of the puzzle that will help continue our commitment to supporting the creative scene here. We're connected to organisations across the city, and our mission is to help them thrive, grow, and find a new voice online and in person too, all from our position as a not-for-profit entity. Supporting the creative scene is our motive, and we hope we'll continue with our mission to do so through our new initiative, Just Tap into Your local scene.
Thank you very much for listening, and please come speak to us later and try out the pads for yourself.
Brilliant. So, Maggie, we've got a demonstration downstairs of the work that we've been doing with Maggie and Lipper and Auditive, and this is the one that Georg mentioned earlier on. So Maggie's just going to give a quick introduction to that project and her involvement and her role for Liverpool City Region over the past many years. So here is Maggie Mullen. Sorry.
Hi everyone. This isn't prepared, but I've been working with the LCR for I think it's probably about 4 or 5 years now on 2 projects. Just to say the process has been incredible. But where I started from, I do a lot with listed buildings, heritage, and I work a lot in performing arts and education. And what I've discovered more and more is that obviously we've had lockdown and we've had challenges with getting things through statutory approval, but more and more the sort of trying to de-risk the process for my clients and for the greater, the greater good of the city has been a big incentive for me to work with LCR. So the first project we worked with, and I work a lot with LIPA, so the Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts, which is a Grade 2 listed building, an incredible organisation. And everybody has finite resources, so how best to use those. So the first project we worked at with LCR was to look at how we would really analyse a space that had been designed for a drawing studio, and how we would analyse it at a very early stage before anything was designed, about what the impact on that space would be to transform that space from a static drawing studio to a dance studio. And this isn't just about the sort of aesthetics and the impact. A very important aspect of this is to provide almost a set of empirical data that we can provide as part of our listed building consent that goes into the local authority that says this is the smallest viable intervention we need to make into the space to transform it. So in terms of sustainability, in terms of repurposing, all of those aspects all brought together into this. And we worked just pre-lockdown with LCR and VEC to model the space with thermodynamic technology to see how the stresses and strains would impact upon that space. And it was, again, an incredible process. Laterally, again, with LIPA, and you know, one of my other interests as well as being an architect and interested in repurposing and reusing historic fabric is neurodiversity. And the impact of space and in terms of use and for neurodivergent people. And both my children are neurodivergent, so it's very close to my heart. And again, with this sort of idea, this multi-layered idea that working with LIPA and working with the team, how do we de-risk a project but add value as part of both the design and analysis project, analysis of how we develop a brief for a project, but also how we have an empirical set of data that can go as part of our planning and listed building consent to the local authority to help them understand in more than aesthetic ways how important it is and that sort of smallest viable intervention we need to make into the space. So the project that we were asked to look at, and we've been working with the LCR and the VEC on, was creating a new student hub for LIPA. And I don't know if everybody knows LIPA. LIPA basically exists in 3 buildings, 2 of which are, one's designed in 1840, one was designed in 1910, and the other in the late 1990s. And these buildings all, you know, they've been adapted, but they're all sort of self-contained. They all have their challenges. And with increasing awareness of neurodiversity, how do we temper space, particularly very grand architectural spaces like atriums, to become more accessible and usable for a wider range of functions and a wider range of neurodiverse needs. And hence we've been, and we're still in the process of it, modelling the space, working with an acoustic engineer to see the impact on this existing space of putting different materials, different ceilings, different door openings, different sound sources elsewhere in the space, so that we can do at a very, very early stage almost a choreography of that space, and we can quantify that space, and our next step is to feed that information via VR to neurotypical and neurodiverse candidates to see how they respond to how we put interventions into that space, where we put those sound spaces, where we put the very active spaces, what sort of materiality we need to include in that space, all as part of this sort of evidential base that will help us move this project forward. You know, one of the, and I'm sure it's the same across, one of the big challenges that we've had since lockdown, and Liverpool particularly, is that the whole statutory processes are taking so much longer because there's been such a backlog. And we're trying to circumnavigate that, not just because it makes things easier, that's not the right word, easier for us, but also it underpins the viability not just of those buildings and the repurposing of those buildings, but also the recreation of those spaces for a much more sustainable and wider variety of our population and needs. So if anybody wants to come and talk to me about it, apologies, I haven't got a presentation, but it wouldn't have done justice to the work that the team have been doing with ourselves, and that's those synaptic connections that they've been opening up for us. But thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you.
I did put some visuals in there for you, Maggie, but it's it's okay. You can see this sort of stuff downstairs. So also the video doesn't seem to be working anyway. But you can see these visuals downstairs anyway. So definitely take a look at that. Yeah. So next we have Fionn and Maureen from Dream Studio, and we've been working with Dream Studio on LCR Holistic, again exploring creation in virtual worlds. So without further ado, I'll pass you over.
Which is
Just this one.
which? That one. I'm going to put my finger on this. Okay. Yeah, actually, I'll take one. You take one. You start.
Hi, hello everybody. So I'm Maureen Kendall. I'm the lead at Dream Studio, and really we're just an arts production company that enables artists to harness new tools and technologies, and we are creating innovative and inventive experiences for audiences, participants and communities. Over to you.
Right, and we're a Maze Artists Collective as well, and we are working with Dream Studio on this project, Boundless Worlds in Flux. And we've been creating a virtual world which enables, well, it will enable at some point in the future when we get the tech together, which will enable visitors to navigate their way through interconnected artists' worlds and experience all different kinds of things. And I should say that our collaboration began at the beginning of COVID, actually, and our group is very diverse, and we're actually an international group. So we've got a Taiwanese diaspora artist in Paris, a Chinese diaspora artist in London, 2 Irish diaspora artists in London. I'm one of them. We've got a diaspora South African artist, Maureen, and we've got a British Pakistani artist who's living in America and working there at the moment, along with a Liverpudlian creative who's joined us recently. And one of the things that we think is very important in any kind of artistic collaboration is that it shouldn't just be about local artists getting together, because that can become just about navel gazing. It shouldn't either be about international, national, because that can feel very invasive and disempowering to local communities. It should be a combination of all three. So that's what we're committed to, combining local, national, and international dimensions in our practices. So, what am I on, actually? Oh yes, how can we experience artists' play and users? Well, in the course of the navigation through what we create, and actually what you'll see, the image coming up here, this is a hub that we've created, which the visitor would enter and then be able to access in all different orders and directions, various artists' world. And one of the things we've included is a participant space where people can go and actually co-create as well. And I should point out that we included the testing experience from the outset. Once we started devising the project, we went out and sent questionnaires to people. We surveyed people aged from 4 to 87, which is quite a span, and got their feedback on what the kinds of things they wanted to see were, and we kind of been responding to that. So,
and also panels and conversations.
Yeah. And so our current focus, well, no surprises there. It's technical problems, technical problem solving, working on our collaboration, and then the aesthetic considerations that arise from these. Because I should really preface all of this by saying that when we started this project, we all started with using different technologies. Some of us using no technologies at all, so that was a steep learning curve. And I can say we probably made every mistake that was possible to make. And we've just spent our time sort of finding workaround solutions. Now, I used to think at the beginning I felt a bit bad about that, and people would say, oh, you know, why didn't you just look at the technology first and use that to move forward? But then Ardern, who joined the group from Liverpool, said, but yeah, you'd have made things more narrow. By going at it the way you have done, you've come up with really quite sort of unusual and quirky solutions for things. So I'm going with that positive message.
I mean, I think the thing was that, you know, we all had unity in different setups. Rather than saying that's what we have to have at the end, we were coming from it from lots of different directions.
And also, I mean, I was the only one making anything in a headset. So I used Tilt Brush, and everybody else was using different kinds of digital stuff as well. And what were our aesthetic considerations? Because actually we didn't really want to create something that looked just like your standard game or had that sort of gaming finish to it. We wanted to create site-specific environments. And we've used collage, montage, assemblage, and we've also been in conversation with lots of kind of diverse communities and sharing stories, sensory experiences, and feel very strongly about the issue of accessibility and how do we create an experience that is invisibly inclusive, because that also is a consideration. Well, how are we generating our creative landscapes? No. And how are we solving the tech problems? Well, hopefully Vec will be helping with that. Thank you. And what are they? We've touched on that. Well, the integration of different artist spaces, huge. That was a huge issue. And yeah, being able to work as individuals helped us to create more complex responses as well. And how are we going to enrich our users' sensory experience? And I'm coordinating this very badly because I know that 2 of our slides were kind of rejected because the GIFs were too blurry. So that's somewhat altered our order of things. But yeah, so do you want to speak to this about how we're actually enriching the experience?
Yes, so we are looking, well, I'm going to just diverge from that a second. We're creating a common framework, and some of the thinking behind that common framework is that we're looking at different pathways of orientation, mapping and signposts, the pace and rhythm, with the gameplay, and also about transitions between things like sea and sky, because some people have created worlds under the sea, over the sea, on top of the sea, in the sky, and it's how you transport a user across those. And we are working on making the environments feel alive, so they really respond to the user's touch and encounter. Upstairs you'll see I'm diverging from this, but upstairs we've got some interesting sensory technology. So we're taking some of our previous work and putting it into a blended environment, and then we'll be transporting it backwards and forwards between the virtual and the blended. So
the sensory aspects and sort of textures and references to materiality are quite important in sort of what we're doing. And it's not either one or the other. We don't want artists to have to choose between, I'm just going to do kind of tech stuff or I'm just going to do material stuff. It's all part of the same thing.
Shall I just... Yes, so I think what's really exciting about working with Amaze is that we've collaborated in a team, meeting regularly online once a week, bringing new people in, bringing in peer review and so on. And it's been going on right through COVID. And our future collaboration is that we are aiming to work with museums and public galleries in this area, working with some of our artists who are based in Liverpool. What I think is our unique interest is really bringing people in from difficult to reach audiences, if you like, to actually work as co-creation and participants within the spaces that we're working.
That's right. And yes, and I forgot to point out the participant space, which was the one with all the kind of trees and stuff in it, but never mind. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, missed that. So that's entering into the hub. And so we do want to give people something that's kind of exciting to come into, something that's playful, because, one of the things that several people have spoken about, and Leslie in particular was mentioning the importance of process. And I think that's been key in our collaboration, that how do we process things? And we're actually, for one of the projects we're doing, which is a blended exhibition in London later in the year, we're going to produce a toolkit on our experiences of, because we will have problems. I mean, we had terrible problems setting up the projectors this morning, and that was just the projectors. And I feel like really writing a complaint to AXA for their P7 projectors, because the user experience was rubbish. But anyway, we are trying to focus on, because also, it's not just about the process being important for us as artists, but it's actually very important for visitors. to come in and feel welcomed and to feel that they can also be part of a positive process and take away that. So these are our details.
Yes, there's one more thing that we haven't mentioned, is that in our group of about 8 people, we have people who are just, who are at the RCA or Slade, so they're in their 20s, and then they've got older people as well. So we've got a great range across generations, as well as different cultures and so on. So it's quite multi.
Yeah, and I'm actually looking around here and thinking we're probably the oldest people in the room. I suspect we usually are. And finally. Yeah. Oh my God, are there more slides? Oh, that's somebody else's slide.
Oh, yes, and
sorry, we're not going to be giving anybody else's presentation.
And
that's
also
us.
Alan, who's working with us today, is over here.
Okay, but thank you. And come and speak to us. You know, we got lots of stuff to show you, and we can also tell you about some of the horrible problems we had with stuff. Okay.
Yes, but conversations to be had.
There we are. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, so it's not actually upstairs where Maureen said, it's downstairs. Upstairs, I think, is the roof. Okay, so by all means, go and explore that exhibition downstairs. Yeah, next up we have Cinema Nation. So we have Monica and Michael to present some of the work that is, again, downstairs in the same sort of gallery space. I do have to say, though, we are going over on time, so we need to keep it quite brief.
You're gonna be quick.
Oh yeah, I'll do this quick.
Okay. Ooh, this is proper technology, I guess. Hi everyone, I hope you're okay. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, you all been quiet. Talk a bit, yeah.
My name's Michael.
And Monica.
We're Cinema Nation, and we're a community interest company that supports film exhibition and increasingly be working with film archive.
Yeah. And yeah. So just thinking about what to say, because we've been working for over 10 years on film exhibition, but lately we concentrate more on archive, and our work is mainly on community settings. We also produce a major national festival called Scalarama, and which has been on stop for the last few years because of COVID, and that sums up over 1,000 exhibitors, which aims to, again, collaborate between exhibitors across the country. And then our very latest initiative is the Spirit of Liverpool, which is mainly archive, but is mainly working on community settings. Most of it at the moment is being with Liverpool 8 and L4-5 Walton communities. And that's what it comes Target 8, which we're going to present now.
During the pandemic, we were on a funded course called Digitally Democratizing Archives from the Audience Agency. It was 10 different groups across the country, and we wanted to focus on our research into films made by L8 filmmakers, Liverpool 8 filmmakers, and community videos, and basically making them more accessible. So we work really closely with the Northwest Film Archive, based in Manchester, but in our eyes, not many people are going to go all the way to Manchester to see things made in their area. So on this funded project, we basically thought of different tools and worked in different ways to think how people will best access films. So one's quite like a sort of YouTube, one's more about focusing on commenting. Another one is a mapping software working with Ecosystem 2.
So the idea behind Target 8, it was more to respond our concerns through working with archive of those people whose stories are constantly erased or not there because the lack of proper taggings, and when it's mean proper tagging, since those words that are not there in the archive, so we cannot find stories. We, through our projects, financed some of them by the British Film Institute, we found that
this archive was in existence because the tagging wasn't there. So that concern of us and the idea of like communities don't own their own archive, and we are talking for other people perspectives rather than harvest a culture of humility and respect. We decide that it will be a community-owned archive, where it's a online platform, owned by the community as well, where the community has all the say on this archive. But with that culture of humility, we decide not to do consultancy. It's a word that it doesn't sit down a lot with us, but more talk to the community just by approaching them and ask them what do they feel, what do they think, what they think is important for them. We also notice that they create a lot of Facebook pages with archive, but unfortunately Facebook, TikTok, all these platforms are okay to use, but they are no community owner, and those platforms, once they're gone, all the archive disappears. So in the screen we saw like local filmmakers and some of the focus group to try to come out with solutions and ideas for the platform.
So following the focus group's advice, they preferred the mapping model the most. So we worked with Adam and Ruben with Ecosystem 2 to develop it over the last year, and getting in touch with Virtual Engineering Centre, who helped us form the back end. So you'll be able to see both the front end and the back end downstairs. And that was really important for us, so to make a really, really accessible way for people to upload videos. And as Monica mentioned, the tags is really important, because I don't know if anyone's ever typed Liverpool into any social media search thing, but you get a lot of people wearing red t-shirts kicking a ball. So basically it's impossible to find local videos, so that's why we're creating this platform and allowing people to tag their own content using the words that they feel very specific, because from our research, often people who are cataloguing maybe don't know the local relevance to a site. We have 5 videos there, which you can play downstairs and test. And currently we're working with the VAC and ecosystem to find further investment so that we can make this a completely community-owned platform and then expand to other postcodes in the area in Liverpool. I think that's it.
Yeah, and like.
Do you like it? Cool. That means a lot.
just to say that we need more support, and also this project can go further to education and filmmakers as well, which usually they have to pay a lot of money to use archive, and that's not right, is it? So
yeah,
okay.
That's a very important thing, because we've just been talking about how young people's mental health is really affected by social media. So we feel that having that community ownership and transparency and people finding out about local, and then like Monica said, working with schools to talk about representation, especially because Liverpool 8 is very much often described from what people think externally what happened in the past. Okay, and we're both from Liverpool 8 as well, so it's not like we're dropped in, we actually live there, so that's important to mention as well. Okay, thank you very much.
I believe now we're up to our closing talk. So if we could pass on the mic to Stu. Oh. I'll let you take it away, Stu.
Okay, so I was really happy that a lot of people mentioned neurodivergence, because I have ADHD and I'm autistic. I made the slides, then I completely forgot what was on them. And also, I can't press the button myself, so it's going to be a very exciting time for me, as well as for you, to discover what's going to happen. I'm here on behalf of Does Liverpool. We are a community-led, community-funded community makerspace in town near TJ Hughes in the Fabric District. Here, shall we find out? Oh, yeah, okay, so that's rule 0. Do not be on fire. I actually think that should come outside of makerspaces and be a rule in many other places. although I don't always follow it. So we are completely funded by members. We don't take any funding from the council or anywhere else. We pay membership fees to have either out-of-hours workshop access or 24/7 workshop access, or if you you can have your own desk, which I have and I'm very fond of, in order to never tidy it and allow people next to me to put stuff on it. Right. Anyway, so we are also maintained by members whenever possible. So I'm going to start talking about the equipment that we have. So we have laser cutters, 3D printers, CNC mills, we have a CNC lathe. We have an entire fiber arts room kitted out with knitting machines, including one that's hooked up to an Arduino so that you can have it knit patterns in for you. And also regular, I'm just specifically talking to you now, come see the knitting machines. We've got sewing machines, obviously. We've got overlockers. We have got a CNC embroidery machine. We've got a very scary sewing machine that can go through bone, so like really, really good times. And lots more. So that's our soldering station. So that's the knitting machine that has done a little picture, and then someone's turned it into a cushion. And the best part for me about Does Liverpool is that we are not a school, we are not a factory, we're not a shop. You come in, someone goes, here's how you use the laser cutter, here's how you don't burn anything down with the laser cutter, here's how you use, this machine, but then from there on it's on to you. So we're not here to go, what's your project? Okay, we'll tell you how to do it. We're here to go, here's how to use the machine, what are you going to do with it? And then we're there to discuss it with you, probably in a sort of fairly loose kind of, I happen to be there and you're talking to me, or maybe we want to partner up and do something together. It's not a place for you to come and receive a service. It's a place for you to come and be an active part of a community and sort of find your place in there. So you're not supported at all. We don't like leave you in a room full of 3D printers and wait to see if they eat you. We just, but very much you come in, you learn, and you figure out how you want to use the equipment and how you interact with it. And so we do also have free events. So we have co-working. You can have a desk of your own or do hot desking and come and sit in the space. That's really nice. But we also have Maker Days on the second Saturday of every month. So on those Saturdays, you can turn up 10 to 5 and you can use the equipment for free. We do have materials at cost, but if you bring your own, then you just don't pay anything. We also have Maker Nights on Thursdays. So tonight, when you're done here, just head over, turn up, and someone will show you around, and you'll just never want to leave. You will be allowed to leave, just want to be really clear. And then we also have a repair cafe on the third Sunday of every month. So you come and bring something that's broken, and we will have a go at repairing it. And again, it's the service is free there, but if there's materials, then you might have to pay. But again, it's at cost. We're not there to make money. We do also have like companies that work out of Does Liverpool. So Chris and I run a company out of there. So there are people who get funding to work in Does Liverpool, but it's not funding that Does Liverpool is dependent on. Is how it works. And basically, it's like back in the day when Lego was good and it wasn't all kits and you just had a massive big like plastic box full of Lego and you didn't know where any of the pieces were, but you knew how to use it because you know how Lego works. It works the way you want it, right? So that's us, and I recommend coming and having a look. Yeah, just press the doorbell. We have a lift. Oh, sorry, you had a question? Yeah, so we have Maker Night on a Thursday night. I think it starts at 6:30, but I always tell people to turn up at 6, and it's never gone wrong for me yet. It also like finishes at 9, but it very much like 9 because it basically finishes when everyone that has a fob goes home, which tends to be quite a lot later than 9, really. So yeah, definitely. Okay, excellent. Thank you so much for doing the slides.
Thank you, Steve. So, I mean, I think we've got everything here at this event, everything you would need in the Liverpool City region, the people, the right organisations to really help support you and whoever you are and wherever you come from, really. In terms of the Virtual Engineering Centre, we've obviously been involved in LCR Holistic with our other partners, so LJMU, Liverpool, University of Liverpool Management School, and a few others. We've supported heritage, culture and creative arts supply chains for over the past couple of years now. We did our Digital Heritage Symposium at St George's Hall last year, and that was very similar to this, but instead looking at the heritage aspect. But essentially, for the past couple of years, really, we've been focused on using the LCR Holistic Project to help strengthen supply chains, help grow supply chains, help to get the right people in the room, get collaborative projects across the supply chains going. So we've looked at pandemic recovery. We've got a lot of technical experience in the Virtual Engineering Centre team, and we've helped lots of businesses recently prepare for this kind of momentous year for Liverpool in 2023 for many reasons. So that's kind of where we are right now. And also I would like to make a bit of an announcement, and the Virtual Engineering Centre with the Arts, Humanities and Research Council, off the back of lots of the stuff we did last year with St George's Hall and continue to do, there's a new state-of-the-art UK Digital Heritage Centre. So a few people who are here today who are involved in this, and that's based in the heart of the SciTech Daresbury campus in Daresbury, where we are, where Virtual Engineering Centre has been for a long time. So we have a space in Daresbury and we have a space in Liverpool. And that centre is really supporting the next generation of kind of heritage innovation and from the technology side, essentially, looking at the art of the possible and the new and novel that's available for digital heritage and to take it to the next step. So this will be a specialist centre to support creation, capture and collaboration with the cultural community as well. So if you want to ask any questions about that, just find someone from the Virtual Engineering Centre and they'll point you in the right direction of someone who can explain that in a bit more detail. Moving forward, so from today, I think when you leave this room now, I think this is a great opportunity for you to experience the two spaces that we've got demonstrations in. So explore the technology demonstrations, explore the immersive works of some of the creative artists and organisations that are involved in that, and try and learn more about the stories that we've got in the event brochure connected to LCR Holistic and some of the great businesses we've worked with recently. And consider how that technology could be used to shape your organisation in a new direction. Think about how you could maybe work with another organisation on a bigger project and seek funding to take that further. And then you could also engage with the metaverse. So as I mentioned, there's people watching right now in the metaverse. We should have an audience in there as well. Try and explore and embrace and understand what that is and what it kind of means going forward for Liverpool and the greater community. And also, try and maintain this strong relationship with digital tools and other creative businesses in the Liverpool City region, because obviously, I think lots of the time, as creative organisations, we see that you don't always have the time or the energy or the resources or the priority to put digital tools first. But what we can show with all the demonstrations today is if you do put digital tools first and you do try and embrace them and you put them at the forefront of your projects, it really leads to great growth in your ideas and what you can do. So also stay in touch with us as well, and if you want to learn more about the Digital Heritage Centre that is opening. If you wanted to enter the Metaverse event, we have QR codes around the exhibition today, or you can also use your lens right now and you can try and drop in if you would like. It will tell you to download an app, and then you can drop in with an avatar you create it, and then you can walk around just to experience what that is and what other people are experiencing currently right now in the Metaverse. Leave it on for a couple of seconds. Again, QR codes around the rest of the building. And yeah, it's gone a bit wrong on the slide at the top, but apologies. But sharing so again, we're here to share our knowledge and build on your capability. We're not here to, as the Virtual Engineering Centre, to develop finished products through LCR Holistic. We're here to help you understand what the art of the possible is, help you point you in the right direction of digital tools and organisations that could help you, and create these sorts of collaborations that could be taken further to build bigger projects. And so, yeah, so again, we're the Virtual Engineering Centre. Got any questions, ask someone with a yellow lanyard. And very big thanks to FACT for hosting us here today. Big thanks to all of our partners, all of our businesses who we've worked with on the LCR Holistic Programme and have agreed to come and show some of the stuff that we've been doing with you guys. So now you can go out of the room, go down, have a little look through for some of the demonstrations, get a bit of a taster, and then about 12:30 we'll start some lunch, and then you'll be able to go on the ground floor and have some lunch there, and then continue throughout the day exploring some of the technology, because it'll take quite a while, I think, to get through some of the stands, because there's a lot to show you essentially. So thank you very much for listening to all of the presentations, and thanks for coming.